The Perks of Being a Wallflower, page 101. When it looked like things were going to get violent, Patrick stepped in between the two with my help and got Peter out of the apartment. When we went outside, the girls were gone. So Patrick and I got into Patrick's car and drove Peter home. He was still seething, so he vented about Craig. That's where I heard the rest of the details I'm writing to you about. Finally, we dropped Peter off, and he made us promise to make sure Mary Elizabeth didn't think he was cheating on her, because he wasn't. He just didn't want to be found guilty by association with that prick. Patrick and I weren't sure how much Craig really told Sam. We both hoped he gave her a soft version of the truth, enough to make her stay away, but not enough to make her doubt everything about everything. Maybe it's better to know the whole truth. I honestly don't know. So we made a pact that we wouldn't tell her unless we found out that Craig made it sound like nothing big and Sam was ready to forgive him. I hope it doesn't come to that. I hope Craig told her enough to make her stay away. We drove around to all the places we thought we might find them, but we couldn't find the girls. Patrick figured they were probably just driving around, trying to let Sam cool off a bit. So Patrick dropped me off at home. He said he'd call me tomorrow when he heard anything. I remember going to sleep last night, and I realized something that I think is important. I realized that throughout the course of the evening, I wasn't happy about Craig and Sam breaking up, not at all. I never once thought that it would mean that Sam might start liking me. All I cared about was the fact that Sam got really hurt. And I guess I realized at that moment that I really did love her, because there was nothing to gain, and that didn't matter. It was hard walking up the steps to Bill's townhouse that afternoon because I didn't receive a phone call from Patrick, and I was worried about Sam. I called on the phone, but nobody was there. Bill looks different without a suit. He was wearing his old graduate t-shirt, which was brown, the school, not the color. His girlfriend was wearing sandals and a nice flowered dress. She even had hair under her arms, no kidding. They looked very happy together, and I was glad for Bill. Their house didn't have a lot of furniture, but it was very comfortable. They had a lot of books, which I spent about a half hour asking about. There was a picture of Bill with his girlfriend when they were at Brown together in graduate school. Bill had very long hair then. Bill's girlfriend made lunch while Bill made the salad. I just sat in the kitchen, drinking a ginger ale and watching them. The lunch was a spaghetti dish of some sort, because Bill's girlfriend doesn't eat meat. Bill doesn't eat meat either now. The salad did have imitation bacon bits, though, because bacon is the only thing they both miss. They had a really nice collection of jazz records and kept playing them all throughout lunch. And after a while, they broke open a bottle of white wine and gave me another ginger ale. Then we started talking. Bill asked me about the fountainhead, and I told him to make sure that I was being a filter. Then he asked me about how much I liked my first year of high school, and I told him making sure to include all the stories in which I participated. Then he asked me about girls, and I told him how I really loved Sam, and how I wondered what the lady who wrote the fountainhead would say about how I came to realize that I loved her. After I finished, Bill got very quiet. He cleared his throat. "Charlie, I want to thank you." "Why?" I said. "Because it has been a wonderful experience teaching you." "Oh, I'm glad." I didn't know what else to say. Then Bill took this really long pause, and his voice sounded like my dad when he wants to have a big talk. "Charlie," he said, "do you know why I gave you all that extra work?" I shook my head no. That look on his face, it made me quiet. "Charlie, do you know how smart you are?" I just shook my head no again. He was talking for real, and it was strange. "Charlie, you're one of the most gifted people I've ever known, and I don't mean that in terms of my other students. I mean that in terms of anyone I've ever met. That's why I gave you the extra work. I was wondering if you were aware of that." "I guess so. I don't know. I felt strange. I didn't know where this was coming from. I just wrote some essays." "Charlie, please don't take this the wrong way. I'm not trying to make you feel uncomfortable. I just want you to know that you're very special, and the only reason I'm telling you that is I don't know if anyone else ever has." I looked up at him, and then I did feel strange. I felt like I wanted to cry. He was being so nice to me, and the way his girlfriend looked, I knew that meant a lot to him, and I didn't know why it did. "So when the school year ends and I'm not your teacher anymore, I want you to know that if you ever need anything, or you want to know more about books, or you want to show me anything you write, or anything, you can always come to me as a friend. I do consider you a friend, Charlie." I started crying a little bit. I actually think his girlfriend was too, but Bill wasn't. He looked very solid. I just remember wanting to hug him, but I've never done that before, I guess. I didn't say anything for a while because I didn't know what to say. So finally I just said, "You're the best teacher I've ever had." And he said, "Thank you." And that was that. Bill didn't try to make sure that I would see him next year if I needed anything. He didn't ask me why I was crying. He just let me hear what he had to say in my own way, and he let things be. That was probably the best part. After a few minutes, it was time for me to leave. I don't know who decides these things. It just happens. So he went to the door, and Bill's girlfriend hugged me goodbye, which was very nice considering. I didn't know her except for today. Then Bill extended his hand, and I took it, and we shook hands. And I even sneaked in a quick hug before I said goodbye. When I was driving home, I just thought about the word special. And I thought the last person who said that about me was my Aunt Helen. I was very grateful to have heard it again, because I guess we all forget sometimes. And I think everyone is special in their own way, I really do. My brother gets home tonight, and everyone's graduating tomorrow. Patrick still hasn't called. I called him, but nobody was home again. So I decided to go out and buy everyone their graduation presents. I haven't really had time to do that until now. Love always, Charlie.